Our next guests are going to take us inside the post-apocalyptic world of Prime Video's newest sensation called Fallout, a gripping series that brings the beloved video game franchise to life like never before. Please welcome actors Walton Goggins and Aaron Moten, executive producers Todd Howard and Jonathan Nolan, along with showrunners Graham Wagner, and welcome to Austin by Southwest Studio. How we doing, everybody?
So awesome. We did it.
Teleprompter is the best.
Yeah.
You know, our other showrunner had to catch a flight back to LA. That's why there's a plural showrunners there. There are two of us.
In spirit.
In spirit.
Is what's happening right here. All right, so I got the first question for Todd. And Todd, I just want to let you know, man, is that as someone who came late to the game on like the Fallout like world, because not even regrettably, my whole life was sucked into Skyrim for like 7 years straight. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
My college teachers also thank you for that. But Fallout is like your baby. Like this is like your thing. Like what is it like bringing this to life? Like what made you like say, yes, let's do this?
I mean, we said no for a decade, and you know, a lot of people would come and want to translate Fallout. It's such a great world. And it's really about finding the right creative partners. You know, I reached out to Jonah, and once we connected, it was like, I mean, honestly, felt like we've been friends for a very long time, and we saw, you know, it very similarly in terms of, let's do something new. Let's do something in the world that feels like, hey, what happens? What would like the next game, if we did one? Let's find a unique place in the world. Let's have new characters. Let's tell a new story. And they've just done an awesome job. It's been a great process for me.
That's really great. And I feel like we're like almost in like a renaissance of video game to movie, TV adaptations, right? You know, we've gotten The Last of Us, right? I would also say Sonic the Hedgehog fits in there as well. You know, so getting like Fallout, like there's a lot of fans. I saw the trailer yesterday. Everyone's like really stoked about it. Like it's incredible. Jonah, you joked one time about like collaborating with people who are dead because they don't argue with you.
It's true, they don't.
Todd's alive. He's sitting right here.
He is presently alive or with us. No, when someone whose work, like you, I had lost quite a lot of personal time to Fallout 3. And when someone whose work you admire that much asks you to go to lunch, you just say yes. And it was as if we had known each other for years, just one of those conversations, so easy. I mean, last night we stole a car together here in Austin. That was exciting.
I need that story.
It's a good one. But coming out of that lunch, we knew immediately that we were gonna make something together. And for me, so then for me, it just becomes, oh shit, here's the responsibility, here's the giant responsibility of taking something that you know and you love, and trying to find, and I've done a lot of adaptations in my career. We're usually adding something.
Right.
If it's a comic book, we're adding movement. You know, if it's a novel, you're adding everything visually. You're always losing something too. With a novel, you're losing some of the psychological component to it. You know, with a game, you are losing a lot. You're losing a lot of that freedom that the players have. But what we felt like we could bring to it was that sense of immersive reality. And so we sort of concentrated on how can we make this series feel every bit as large and breathtaking as the games make you feel, you know, and really transport people who maybe had never played the games into the unique tone and the political satire. There's so many wonderful things in these games that hopefully we have preserved and brought to the screen.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about when I saw the trailer is that it definitely has the feel of like a Western, right? It's like the world where, you know, not everybody is trusting of each other. Like somebody's out to kill you no matter what's happening, like, you know, where you're at. And to take it over to Walt, like you play a bounty hunter in this world called the Ghoul.
I do.
Right? You look great, by the way. Like the no-nose look.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
You got the nose. I mean, I haven't seen nobody rock a no-nose face as well as Voldemort, and you done it. Like,
That's good.
You know what? It's hard wearing sunglasses. That's the only thing. You know, that's what's really hard about it.
It's just slipping off your face. Now I need some set photos of Walt with sunglasses on with no nose. Well, as this bounty hunter, as I understand it, you've taken some inspiration from like other westerns, like Western icons like John Wayne, Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, you know, I watched it. Jonah and I talked about this a lot, and we the way that the story kind of explores that aspect of the personality is something you'll come across when you watch it. But I did, yeah, and I just kind of figuring out who this guy is, you know, is a person before the war started and a person 200 years after the war, after the bombs have been dropped, right? And so yeah, I watched all of Leone's stuff again, and really. It kind of came down to, for me, Once Upon a Time in the West, and what Fonda did, you know, with that first shot and killing that child, was so sinister and so evil, but I couldn't take my eyes off of him. And then you juxtapose that with Newman and Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, and that kind of swagger and that sense of humor, and I thought, okay, well. I'm neither one of those people, you know. But if I can, you know, kind of just pull a little bit from that, like we all do, and then make it your own.
Yeah, you make every role your own, man. Like we were just quoting Hateful Eight in here, like hours before you even got here. So you know.
Thank you very much.
But very sad. I'm not one of those people. I was like, I can see you doing it. Like give yourself some.
Navajo.
Let me just sit over here by this window and think about how grateful I am. You know, just they stick up here. Aaron, tell us about Maximus. Like, how does Maximus like manage to like survive in this world, and what type of character does it take to adapt to that type of world?
Well, I do think that, you know, everyone who's born into that world like Maximus is, I think there's a level of, you know, your nurture that is harsh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that is a big part of him. You know, Maximus is scarred, literally and, you know, metaphorically in a lot of different ways. But, you know, a lot of that stuff were conversations having with Jonah when we first started this thing, and really trying to find what stories were in those scars, you know, and you know, it's exciting. People get a lot more of that when they see the show. But you know, he is a survivor, is who he is, and I think that's an important aspect of all of the main three characters, Ella, as well as Walton and myself. Yeah.
I think that's what makes these stories like so interesting. These survivor stories. There's different types of survivors, right? There's like the grizzled one that does it, whatever it takes. But then there's the survivors that try to come at things with compassion, and you got to kind of like look at the value in both of those things. And I just like the variety of it all, which is what I think like a lot of fans love about this. So Graham, speaking of the fans, like having a built-in fan base to something like Fallout is obviously like great, because you have people primed and ready for this thing to go. But there's also the other side of the coin where you have like the skeptical fans and things of that sort, and you got to be mindful of both of those things. How do you deal with kind of like creating something like this and like appeasing the fans while also giving them something new, while also trying not to piss them off?
Yeah, I mean, when I first met Todd, I made a joke about getting death threats, and he said, you know, I got death threats when Fallout 3 came out, but I won Game of the Year that year. and I kind of was like, cool.
Does that make you feel better?
Yeah. I definitely am still thinking about it. Yeah, you know, you take that stuff into consideration and take it seriously, but also not too seriously. Otherwise, the audience is going to feel you're like executing a job, and no one wants to see that. You know, so they ultimately want to see people enjoy themselves. And I've been playing Fallout since Fallout 1, so enjoying myself was going to be fine. And Genevieve and I really did another deep dive on the games and really kind of looked at how to get the most of the games into these first 8 episodes, and I think we got a lot in. There's still more we want to get in, but we tried not to let it bother us, because I think that would have just been a drag, a drag to do and a drag to watch at the end. So we tried to have fun, and we hope that comes through.
I mean, you still need that like creative freedom, right, when it comes to like creating these type of things. And I always go with the idea of like people don't know what they want until they see it. Yeah. Right. And so I mean, we recently saw like the creator of God of War poo-poo on God of War Ragnarok, which is, you know, a lot of people will agree with being one of the greatest games, greatest stories of all time. So sometimes, you know,
I'm not gonna poo-poo on anything. I don't poo-poo, but honestly, I do love the source material, so it was sort of effortless.
No, absolutely. That's why I'm really excited for fans to like get a load of this and like obviously like fall in love with this world in the same way they fall in love with the games. And then next thing you know, you have 2 things, video game and live action that you can like go to, which is like amazing. Walt, I have a question for you, and I think this is really funny because I love listening to stories about people from other people. And you have a pretty funny story that has to do with Bill Murray, apparently. Apparently he told you he gave you some advice on not to, I don't know if I could curse on here, but not to F up anybody's like takes. Can you like speak to that?
Well, yeah, we were working together, and every time I looked at him, I just started laughing. Like it got to the point where he's like, "What, man? I'm just sitting here in a chair." It's the funniest thing in the world to me. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And at the end of a very long day, one day I just said, "Bill, how do you do what you do, man? Like, how do you really do it?" And he said, "By not laughing and fucking up other people's takes." But he was joking, and it was really, really funny. And he's just a great man. Yeah, I adore him like the rest of the world.
That's incredible. I mean, that's a classic Bill Murray story with the dry humor and everything, where you're just kind of like, is he joking? Is he like, I don't understand what's going on here. Yeah. But to Walt and Aaron, do you think like this is the most physically demanding project that you guys have ever done? Because there's a lot that goes into this when it comes to like what it demands from you as like actors, right? Like in this type of world. Like, what would you say it's one of the most physically demanding things you guys have done?
You know what? I can say. I can say this. I wasn't fully prepared what it would be like to put that makeup on every day, and so physically there was stamina involved in the heat, where we were filming. It wasn't until we got to.
Well, if you say no, we can make it harder on the next season.
If we do.
No, if you wanted to be more physically demanding, it sounds like there was some room to grow there.
No room to grow. No room to grow.
Okay,
no, we did it.
They already took your nose, man. You don't want to lose nothing else.
Yeah, please. No, don't take an ear. Don't take these teeth. No, it was mentally, getting kind of into that makeup every day. But once we got into it, we got into a rhythm. It was okay. We found our groove. But yeah, it wasn't easy.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the most physically challenging production I've ever been a part of, and I sat in a chair, like that. So I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Well, now I have to know this, Todd. Like, as someone who like kind of created this world, and like when you went to set, and like obviously I'm guessing you gave some consultation on everything that's been going on. What was it like, kind of like seeing everything like in real life, like kind of like playing out before your eyes?
I mean, I was ready to go to set, and I was expecting, they'll hide things. There'll be a lot of movie magic. And I said to Jonah, like, where's the movie? They built it. You get there. There's a multi-story vault, the town, and they recreated it from the game. I mean, like, exactly, obsessively. I was like, where are the fake lights? No, I want to be able to move the camera. I want it to go anywhere. And I remember they had the overseer's office. Like, hey, man, sit down, check it out. And it's like every detail. And I sit at the desk, and there's a pile of papers. And there's a letter, like, to the overseer. And I'm like, wow, so they wrote this letter. But it's a stack. And I flip it open, and then there's a report on, like, the vault's food supplies. And then the power. And I'm like, so it's not just the big things.
Yeah.
It's like every little detail.
Things you could like literally hold in your hand and say like, wow.
I'm like, hold on, I'm reading the vault report, which isn't, it's not going to be on camera.
Yeah.
But it might be. And they really just took it to a level that we never expected. Seeing the guy come in the power armor.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it looks sick,
it
by the
is
way.
intimidating.
Yeah.
Jetpacks, like everything. It was unbelievable seeing it come to life in that way. Yeah.
Gotta
it's
be
a real
a dream come
treat.
true. I can't imagine creating something and then seeing it like done in that way to the most minute detail.
Yeah, it's incredible.
To quote Homelander, it was perfect to the most minute detail. I wouldn't recommend quoting Homelander on everything. But Jonah, so then talking about like the set and like kind of creating these things, like there's some incredible special effects here, right? Like you're a master at that. But you said one of the things you were most looking forward to seeing was the location photography. Can you like talk a little bit about like shooting it on location?
We came out of this great lunch with Todd and thought, oh wow, okay, we're gonna make a Fallout series. It's like the dog who caught the car, right? You're like, oh shit, okay, now what do we do? And I remembered a set of pictures that I'd seen when we were scouting for Westworld. And it was a mining town in Namibia that had been left behind, abandoned, filled with sand over the course of 100 years. And it didn't make sense for us in Westworld. It was masonry construction, bricks. And in the Old West, they didn't have a lot of bricks. But I sort of filed it away in the back of my, back of my head, and then I knew coming out. Literally coming out of lunch, starting with something, and I started thinking about that location. Then you cut to a couple years later, and we're there in the midst of it. We drag the whole crew out there. I mean, we talked about the fact when you have incredibly talented actors, these guys can show up. We could put them on with a cereal box and a green screen, and they could make it work.
Right.
But when you can take them somewhere that is transportive, you've made their work a little easier, and you can see some of that reality reflected, quite literally in their eyes sometimes, but in the way they're experiencing. Mm-hmm. So this is the way I learned how to do it. Coming up with my brother, this is the way we've always done it. It's the only way I know how to do it.
That's incredible, man. Wow.
It's also when you think about video game, right? These guys do the most beautiful computer graphics in the world. We're not going to come and, we're going to come like, oh, we got our computer graphics. They're almost as good as yours. There's the one secret weapon we have is reality.
Yeah. I'm going to use that quote, like, from now on. Because, like, with video games, obviously, like, it's a lot of money and a lot of time, I'm sure. But, like, you have, like, the freedom to kind of, like, create the world. Whereas, when you bring it out into the world, you can create it from the ground up. Or, in this case, like, use the world at your disposal. And I think that's, like, really cool. That that's how we bring out the beauty as well. Like, you can either go National Geographic or watch Fallout, which is really great. All right, so I have a good question for all of you. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is a film the writers have cited as like a reference, right? For this, what other comparisons would you make for Fallout? Like any other like westerns, any other like things that went into this?
Wow.
How pretentious do we want to get here?
Let's go.
There's shades of Tarkovsky.
Yes.
There's obviously
Yes.
who else is great?
No, we were joking. Greg and I were joking about this the whole way through the shoot, and we got to Namibia and we're shooting a fantastic series of improvised takes with
John Daly and Jake Garber.
He's like, yeah.
With John Daly just going for it. And then sprinting away, and the sun is setting, and we're sort of waiting for that beautiful, magic hour light, and John Daly is making the most ridiculous monologue, and Graham turns to me as we cut the camera, he's like, I got it, it's Tarkovsky with jokes, and I was like, I'm in, I'd watch that.
There's like all this amazing work going into the sort of the mise en scène of it all, and then it's John Daly. I mean,
doing a dick joke,
doing like really disgusting stuff, and I just felt like I'm so happy to be sullying this beauty.
There's got to be an audience for that.
Yeah.
I am praying that like on the next like TV spot, it's Tarkovsky with dick jokes.
Mm.
I think you'll tap into a whole new audience with that one.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being here, guys. This has been
Thank
really
you.
great to talk
Thank
about.
you.
This is
Thank
incredible.
you.
Fallout premieres April 11th on Prime Video. I want to thank the Fallout team for stopping by the studio, and I thank you all for watching. You can watch all of our interviews on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/SXSW. I'm your host, Juju Green. Thanks for watching. Oh my God.
Thank you, man. Fantastic.
What a joy.
Yeah,
that was
we've
wonderful.
had a lot of interviews today.
Wow.
That was the fun one.
Oh,
Yeah, no
I
shit.
try to make everything.